lost dreams and survival tales from the world's saddest places. Australia's Isle of the Dead is a small, sad island. This is where more than 1,000 people were buried, but only 180 graves remain marked. The majority of the people buried here were criminals who died of terrible diseases in the 19th century. The island used to have two buildings, a small house where the person who cared for the graves lived, and a place for people attending funerals. Today, visitors can visit the island by boat to see the graves and learn about its dark history. Doomtown, Nevada, U.S., was created during the 1950s to test nuclear bombs. Workers built houses, stores, and streets to make it look like a normal American town. They put dolls dressed as families inside the houses and placed cars on the streets. When they tested the bombs, the buildings closest to the explosions were completely destroyed. The houses that were farther away were damaged, too, but stayed standing. The dolls were violently thrown around and hit by sharp pieces of glass. These places have one thing in common: they all bring back some dark memories from the past. However, they should also remind us of how lucky we are to enjoy the peace and comfort of modern life.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Laura.
And although we look happy and beautiful, we're talking about some sad but places
scary.
With sad, scary history, right? And we learned a lot. Here, we're going to learn even more. And actually, this is kind of funny because another one is in your continent. The continent from where you're from.
Aussie, Australia.
You guessed it. Shall we take a look at the article then? It says, Australia's Isle of the Dead is a small, sad island. Okay, immediately that name does not sound very promising, right? Dead. Here we see the word isle. Isle is just another way to say island. So it's like the island of the dead. Most of the time people use isle in poetry or in names because I think it just sounds prettier or it sounds a bit more poetic.
I see. 所以我们知道 island 是岛的意思，可是 Isle 我们通常用在岛名，像是 Isle of the Dead 就也是岛屿或是岛的意思哦，这个字。那它是一个名词，那课文整句是说澳洲的 Isle of the Dead 就是死之岛还是死亡之岛之类的，是一个小而悲伤的岛屿。So sad.
I know, I wonder why. It says here, this is where more than 1,000 people were buried, but only 180 graves remain marked.
又是你担心的
I know, I'm not going to go there.
Okay, so here we also saw today's language in focus. So let's take a look at that. 今天的 language in focus 就是 this or that 后面接 be 动词，再加 why or when or how or where 后面再接一个子句哦。那本句型的 be 动词后面接有 wh 或是 how 的疑问词引导的名词子句，用来强调前述内容正是做某事的原因、时间、方法或是地点。我们再看回课文哦 Australia's Isle of the Dead is a small, sad island. This is where more than 1,000 people were buried, but only 180 graves remain marked. 所以我们提到这里呢是超过1000人被埋葬的地方，但只有180个坟墓仍被标明哦。那我们来举一个不要那么恐怖的例句好了。She forgot her umbrella at the bus stop and went back to get it. That's when she ran into her old friend. 她把雨伞忘在公车站并回去拿，这时候遇到她的一个老朋友哦。Or the restaurant was fully booked. That's why we decided to go to the new cafe instead. 那家餐厅已经订满了，这是为什么我们决定改去新的咖啡厅这样的原因哦。
So why is it called Isle of the Dead? It's because a lot of people were buried there. Yeah, when you bury someone, this verb means to place a dead body in the ground. For example, my grandmother is buried next to my grandfather in our family's estate. Okay, we also saw the word grave. A grave is a place in the ground where a dead person is buried. Yeah, so and then just to further on explain, like the place where many people who passed away are buried is called a cemetery.
Right.
So in a cemetery, there are a lot of graves.
不要再讲了，蒙阿波。OK， bury 就是埋葬或者是淹埋，它是一个动词哦。而 grave 这个名词就是坟墓或者是墓穴啊，好可怕。
I know, I don't like it. Okay, it says here the majority of the people buried here were criminals who died of terrible diseases in the 19th century. It kind of makes sense because we hear stories about, Australia used to be an island with, a lot of fugitives or like thieves or criminals. Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. We saw the word majority here. It's a noun and it means the largest part of a group of people or things. So a perfect example is like, for example, when we vote for a president or a leader, we choose who we want as the leader, right? We can vote. So the candidate who wins the most votes, which is the majority, they win. Okay, let's use majority in a sentence like this. An interesting report found out that the majority of people prefer to meet in person than to talk on the phone.
OK. Majority 这个名词就是大多数啊，大部分啊。那我们常会用 the majority of somebody or something， 就是大多数的什么什么。For example, the majority of the class chose pizza as their favorite food. 我也很爱吃 pizza. Let's order it.
Yes. Okay, so here we also saw the phrase died of, and it means to die because of a specific cause, like maybe an illness, a specific illness, or old age.
Okay, die of something 就是因为什么而死亡。For example, the plants died of thirst because nobody watered them for weeks. 那些植物因为很多星期没人浇水而渴死了。
Oopsies. Okay, well, let's read more about this island. It says the island used to have 2 buildings, a small house where the person who cared for the graves lived, and a place for people attending funerals. Wow, it really is an island of the dead.
Right.
All right, let's take a look at the phrase care for. It means to do things that keep something in good condition. So basically, this person, the caretaker, would probably clean and sweep the graves and maybe do some daily maintenance.
Care for something 在这里是有维护啊，或是保护什么什么。不过在口语上，它也可以用来表示人或是动物上有照顾的意思哦。For example, she cares for her little puppy by feeding it and playing with it every day. 她每天喂小狗，并且跟它玩啊，而且照顾它哦。
Oh, so cute. Okay, but here, not so cute. Okay, a lot of people, there's 2 buildings. One is for the caretaker and one for people attending the funeral. Now, a funeral is a noun, and it's basically a ceremony. Sometimes it's a religious one for burying or cremating, which is burning a dead person. So, for example, we can say a funeral is a very sad event, but Jack wanted his friends and family to laugh and remember him instead of crying and feeling sad.
Okay, so funeral 是什么呢？就是葬礼，它是一个名词哦。For example, at the funeral, everyone wore black and shared their favorite memories of grandma. Oh, that's so sweet.
I know.
Okay, let's continue reading.
Okay, here it says, today, visitors can visit the island by boat to see the graves and learn about its dark history.
所以如果大家可能很好奇的话，现在游客可以搭船前往这个岛屿哦，然后参观坟墓啊，并且了解其中的黑暗历史。
This one I might skip. What about you?
Yeah, I'll pass.
Yeah, that one sounds kind of too scary for me. I'm afraid of,
Apio.
Exactly. Okay, well, we have another place to look at. This time we're going to the USA. So it says here, Doomtown, Nevada, US, was was created during the 1950s to test nuclear bombs. Oh, okay. This also sounds quite scary too. Now, immediately the name is Doom Town. Doom is a noun and it means, death or destruction. So any terrible event that you cannot avoid. So think about like an asteroid hitting Earth. That's something that we cannot avoid. That's called, it's doomed. We're doomed totally.
对啊。
Okay. We also saw the word nuclear. It's an adjective and it means using, producing, or resulting from nuclear energy. So yeah, it's basically, we're talking about atoms, nuclear reaction to produce energy. And usually it can create a really, really large amount of energy as well.
OK，doom 这个字呢有点难，它是一个名词哦，就是有死亡啊、毁灭啊、厄运。所以如果你们可能在那种就是恐怖片或是灾难片当中，就是 we are doomed 啊，就是我们注定可能要GG在这里了。那 nuclear 这个形容词就是核武的或是核能的哦。所以课文是说，美国的 Nevada 州的这个 Doom Town 死命镇是在1950年代为了测试核子炸弹而创建的哦。
Okay, it says here workers built houses, stores, and streets to make it look like a normal American town. Okay. They put dolls dressed as families inside the houses and placed cars on the street.
So creepy to me, like Chucky dolls or Annabelle 的那个 doll， 很恐怖。OK， 所以就是在课文是说工人那个建造了房屋啊，然后商店还有街道，让它看起来就像一个普通的美国小镇，然后他们还将穿着家庭服装的洋娃娃放进屋子里，并将车辆放在街上。可是这个洋娃娃让我有点 freaky
I know.
It freaks me out.
If it's like Annabelle,
对啊，
that's
就是安
really
娜贝尔
scary.
那种娃娃，我觉得很恐怖
Me too. But I guess they wanted to make
Any
it
dolls 都恐怖
same. I don't like it.
Barbie 会好笑一点 Barbie 跟 Ken 在里面
But what if they're like
moving
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
就有点
hopefully
恐怖感啊
I know.
right?
Hopefully they're not like that. But I guess they wanted to make it as real as possible. Like, what would happen if something like this were dropped there. It's all right.
Okay, bless me.
Yeah, bless you. Here it says, we'll continue reading. It says, when they tested the bombs, the buildings closest to the explosions were completely destroyed. Of course, it's a nuclear bomb, right? Okay, let's first look at the word explosion. It's a noun that means a sudden, violent bursting and loud noise of something, such as a bomb exploding. Okay, or it can mean the act of deliberately causing something to explode. Okay, I can think of, Sid from Toy Story, where he wanted to make Buzz Lightyear explode. Naughty kid. Okay, but we can use it in a sentence like this. Mission Impossible is an action-packed movie filled with exciting fight scenes and big explosions.
I'm Tom Cruise. Okay, you guys get the idea. Okay, 我们在讲的是 explosion, 不是 Mission Impossible. Explosion 就是爆炸的意思哦，它是个名词。Okay, for example, this is something happier. The fireworks show ended with a big explosion of colors in the sky. 烟火表演在空中用这个五彩缤纷的爆炸结束。
So they talked about the nuclear bomb destroying things. Destroy here is a verb and it means to damage something so badly that it no longer exists, works, etc. So I usually think of Godzilla when I see this word because Godzilla likes to destroy and break things and towns and stuff. Also as well, like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, he likes to do the same thing, right? He's built to destroy. Okay, let's continue. Let's think of a sentence first, okay? We can say, my little brother purposely destroyed my artwork by painting over it and then ripping it apart. Such a naughty
little brother.
Naughty boy.
Okay, destroy 这个动词就是破坏、摧毁的意思。For example, the storm destroyed the sandcastle they had spent hours building.
Oh no.
My sandcastle.
可
能这么小一个。
But still, I put in hard work, okay? All right, so here the article then says the houses that were farther away were damaged too, but stayed standing. The dolls were violently thrown around and hit by sharp pieces of glass. Ooh.
好可怜的
I know. Please don't come alive and be possessed.
对啊，他可能是那种 Annabelle 的那种，然后就开始复仇。
Let's take a look at the word violently. It's an adverb and it means with a lot of force in a way that is very difficult to control. It comes from the word violent, and to be violent means to have very intense or severe kind of harm that it can lead to physical harm. For example, we can say, the typhoon winds were so strong that everything outside of the house was violently blown away.
我们看到 violently 这个副词哦，就是剧烈地、猛烈地。For example, the wind blew so violently that it knocked over the trash cans. 所以课文是说，比较远的房屋虽然仍然屹立不倒，但是也受到了严重损坏，然后屋内的娃娃被剧烈的抛飞，并受到这个玻璃碎片袭击呀。
I keep thinking of like possessed dolls and Annabelle. Oh my gosh.
They come alive like Chucky.
I know, so scary. I think we watched too many scary movies. Okay, let's continue reading. It says, these places have one thing in common. They all bring back some dark memories from the past. Okay, so all the places we talked about so far in today's, article and even in the previous days all have something in common. This phrase just means to share a same interest or characteristic.
Right, so have something in common 就是在什么什么方面有共通点。比方像是如果两个人是非常好的朋友 they have a lot in common, like both loving pizza and playing video games. 他们两个有很多共同点，比方他们都喜欢吃披萨，然后喜欢玩这个电动。
Then the article says, however, they should also remind us of how lucky we are to enjoy the peace and comfort of modern life. Totally.
Oh, that's true. 所以回到课文哦，整个是在说这些地方虽然都有一个共同点啊，他们都会回想起过去的黑暗历史，然而他们也应该提醒我们，能够享受现代生活的和平与舒适是多么的幸运。
Yes, live in the moment, right? No regrets.
所以不想错过更多精彩的 English for You 内容，就快点点阅我们的 YouTube 频道和追踪 Facebook 吧。
Yay! And you know what that means?
Yeah, can I ask you the For You chat question?
Please ask me.
What are some dark events from history? Because you're a history buff.
Okay.
Why do you think they are dark?
Oh man, there's a lot actually. And this is kind of a difficult question, but I think I'm going to choose maybe the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Okay. It also, I know, if you guys don't know, it's also has something to do with nuclear energy.
Yes.
There was a nuclear reactor in Chernobyl. Back then, it was called the Soviet Union. Now it's Russia, and now it's a part of Ukraine. This nuclear reactor exploded, causing massive radiation exposure. And as we know, nuclear radiation exposure is bad for all living things. And, even until this day, although the government says, oh, it's fine, it's okay, I think people still, unfortunately, suffer from it till this day. And because personally, I don't believe radiation can disappear that quickly. And maybe our governments tell us that it's okay and safe, but I mean, is it really?
I don't think so.
What about you?
Think of the 911 attacks, right?
Oh, that was scary.
I think they are dark because nearly 3,000 innocent people died, and it changed the world in many ways, causing fear and uncertainty.
Yeah, totally. Right. That was super scary. I remember 9/11 too. I was in middle school, and then we were so confused.
When you watched the news, it was like, what?
We were so confused, and we're like, are we okay? Yeah.
超可怕. Well, you
So
guys have a
sad.
chat about this question. It's probably gonna be really sad talking about these dark events, okay? But we're out of time. Hope you liked today's article. We'll see you next time.
Yes, we're gonna eat pizza and feel happy. I know, right?
Or watch Disney.
Oh yeah, please. I need Disney to heal me.
对呀。
Vocabulary Review.
Bury. To grow these plants, we bury their seeds in the soil and water them regularly. Majority. The majority of employees at this company have degrees in technology, but some studied other subjects. Funeral. Many people attended the president's funeral after he died because he was such a popular man. Explosion. The explosion in the factory damaged the machine so badly that they had to shut the factory down for a month. Destroy. The family lost everything they owned when their house was destroyed by a fire. Violently. The powerful earthquake shook the ground violently and damaged several buildings and bridges.
智慧小补帖。
Isle. Grave. Doom. Nuclear.